As the dates close in for UFC 281, some of the best in MMA are all set to clash against one another. In this heated episode, we may be seeing Charles Oliveira square up against Islam Makhachev inside the octagon. Everyone knows that it is going to be a crazy night, but some are more nervous than others. Islam Makhachev has come to the realization that Charles Oliveira is scared to face the young Russian, and this information has sparked a pretty unique reaction from the aspiring legend. Makhachev has recently risen to fame quicker than any other new entry in the UFC world. The fighter has made a name for himself with 10 successive victories, earning a reputation for being exceptionally fierce and very skilled at the art of beating men up. He is an extraordinary grappler and has the same origins as one of the UFC's finest, Khabib Nurmagomedov. With 22 victories against a single loss, a clear majority of his won battles were won by knockouts and mostly submissions. This information in itself is enough to make any grown man think twice before stepping inside the octagon against him. But of course, his opponent is no ordinary guy either. In fact, Charles Oliveira is much more experienced, boasting a total of 43 fights in MMA. Out of these, he has secured 33 wins, 21 of which were through submission. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist also boasts a former championship title to his name for the lightweight division, which the majority of people argue that he's still the champion of. But when someone is that experienced, they have more to lose in a fight as well. So if we're gonna assume that Charles Oliveira is somewhat cautious about what the fight might bring for him, it would not necessarily be outrageous. However, at the same time, for such a renowned fighter to become nervous, it can mean one of two things. Either the opponent is extremely good at what he does and there's a legitimate reason to be scared, or the fighter who's concerned is really not sure about how good he himself actually is. Irrespective, it's not a good sign to be associated with a fighter. If anything, it's bad for business, and Charles Oliveira has already witnessed accusations of cowardice when faced with Makhachev. Although it might not necessarily be true, it is still certainly something that Makhachev is cashing in on. Makhachev has called out Oliveira for picking what he thinks are easier fights when compared to himself. Oliveira had previously mentioned that he did not think Makhachev is a serious contender to be pinned up against him inside the ring, calling it equal to an insult to have him face off against a fighter who hasn't really beat anyone in the top 5. Rather, Oliveira wanted to pick a fight with either Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor. Oliveira believed that these fighters better matched his own caliber and hence were worthy opponents, and they were also big money fights. Essentially, you might think that Oliveira was downplaying a potential fight against Makhachev and is looking on to greater accomplishments, but that's certainly not how Makhachev views it. In fact, Makhachev has told Oliveira that his choice of fighters owed to one simple fact, that Oliveira was afraid to lose to him. Makhachev claimed that he could beat both Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor in the same night. Although this is a tall claim, it does effectively put Oliveira in a tough position. Either he can choose to forsake his chance at fights with McGregor and Diaz and make a lot of cash and prove to Makhachev that he's not afraid, effectively jeopardizing his stance of being a greater fighter. Or he could choose to ignore Makhachev and be accused of being scared. Whatever way we look at it, such accusations are not to Oliveira's benefit. When a fighter as experienced as him is called out for being afraid, things generally tend to go downhill from there. So far though, Oliveira has made no serious comments on the matter, choosing to perhaps sideline Makhachev's significance, but that only makes the Russian fighter angrier and prompts him to reiterate his claims. In fact, Makhachev has said that Oliveira should say it straight that he's scared to lose, claiming that jiu-jitsu will not work against a fighter like himself who practices sambo. Some people tend to agree with Makhachev on the matter, since Oliveira has evidently been relying heavily on his exceptional grappling capabilities as proven by his submission victories. As a counter, Makhachev knows perfectly how to maintain a safe distance, make some range strike against his opponents, and then go in for the wrestling with his sambo. This may effectively render Oliveira's tactics fruitless and possibly tilt a potential match between the two into Makhachev's favor. If that happens, then a loss would be greatly devastating for Oliveira's career, possibly setting him back by years and giving Makhachev a boost by the same value. In Oliveira's defense, however, it may be said that his grappling skills are something that Makhachev has not come across yet. So, Oliveira's experience in this regard might serve him better and put a lock on Makhachev's mouth once and for all. But even if that occurs, Oliveira would still be taking up a very high risk, making the calculation seem infeasible. So whatever way you look at it, Oliveira seems to be in a sticky situation. Should the two actually fight though, it would be a spectacle worth watching. It may possibly be a make or break point in Makhachev's career, which is perhaps why he's being so assertive and calling out Oliveira for being scared. A damaged reputation might push the former champ into a brawl with the aspiring UFC powerhouse. Will Oliveira consider taking on Makhachev? And if so, who will win? Only time can answer those questions. Do you guys think Oliveira is scared? Let us know in the comments below. Also, remember to like the video and hit the subscribe button for more amazing content just like this. Thanks for watching.